Tomorrow is Canada Day, and as I was sitting here with my coffee this morning, my mind wandered somewhere. Surprise! I wasn't expecting. I started thinking about the summer of 1969, and before I knew it, I found myself asking a question I couldn't stop thinking about. What if I woke up tomorrow morning and instead of it being 2026, it was the summer of 1969? Not everyone else's life, my own. I'd be 11 years old again, living on my farm, or our farm with my family, doing all the same things I did back then. The only difference would be that I'd have every memory that I have today. There would be one rule: I wouldn't be allowed to change history. I couldn't warn anyone about the future, stop anything from happening, or tell anyone what was coming. I would simply get to live one ordinary summer again. Knowing everything I know now, the more I thought about it, the more I realized I already know exactly where I'd go. I'd be right back on that farm. I'd be climbing onto the tractor with my grandfather and my dad to help make hay or put the hay on the wagon. I'd still come home covered in dust, probably complaining that I wanted to go play instead of working. I'd still head out with my sister and brother to pick berries so my grandmother could make her jams and jellies. Although, if she gave me the choice, I'd probably still choose weeding the garden, as I hated picking berries. I hated fighting mosquitoes, and I don't think that's changed very much over the years. The funny thing is, when I was 11, those days didn't seem special at all. They were just my life. Now, sitting here at 68, I realize they were the kind of days people spend the rest of their lives wishing they could visit one more time. This time I'd slow down. I'd sit beside my grandmother while she worked in the kitchen instead of running back outside so quickly. I'd ask her about her childhood and really listen to her answers. I'd follow my grandfather around just to hear his stories one more time. I'd pay attention to the smell of fresh cut hay, the sound of the wind moving through the trees, and those quiet summer evenings when the crickets seemed to sing forever. While all of that was happening on our little farm, Canada and the rest of the world were making history. Canada was still glowing from its centennial celebrations just 2 years earlier. I can still remember when they erected that beautiful centennial maple leaf here in Sault Ste. Marie. It's still standing by our library today, and every time I see it, I smile because it takes me right back to being 11 years old. I remember learning that the centennial symbol was made up of 11 red triangles representing the 10 provinces and the Northwest Territories at that time. I loved that idea. Those separate pieces, they came together to make one maple leaf. Maybe that's why it stayed with me all these years. Even now, when I see it, I don't just think about Canada's 100th birthday. I think about being a little girl growing up in Northern Ontario, proud to be Canadian without even realizing it. Our maple leaf flag was still fairly new then, too. It had only been our national flag for 4 years, and there was a feeling that Canada was growing into its own identity. Pierre Elliott Trudeau had only recently become Prime Minister, and I remember hearing his name everywhere. They even called it Trudeaumania. I didn't understand politics at 11 years old, but I knew something was different because the adults, they couldn't stop talking about him. Looking back now, I can appreciate why he created so much excitement across the country. Then there was Woodstock. I was far too young to understand what it was all about, but I certainly remember hearing about the hippies. It seemed as though they were everywhere. They had long hair, colorful clothes, bare feet, and they talked about peace and love. A lot of the older generation couldn't understand them at all. They were criticized, laughed at, and sometimes judged quite harshly. Looking back now, I wonder if they were simply a generation trying to imagine a different kind of world than the one their parents had known. While all of that was happening, I was still helping with the hay on our farm, chasing my brother and sister through the fields and all over outside, and wondering how much longer it would be before supper. Then, on July 20th, the whole world seemed to stop. Families gathered around black and white televisions to watch human beings walk on the moon for the very first time. It's amazing to think that while astronauts were leaving footprints on the moon, I was probably leaving my own footprints in a hayfield somewhere in Algoma. As I sat here thinking about all of this, another thought came to me. While I was lucky enough to grow up surrounded by my family, not every child in our area was living the same kind of childhood. Right here in Sault Ste. Marie, the Shingwauk Residential School was still open. Children my age were separated from their families, their language, and their culture. I didn't understand that when I was 11 years old, but I understand it now. I think that's one of the reasons Canada Day means something a little different to me these days. I can celebrate this beautiful country that I love, and at the same time remember that our history includes both moments of pride and moments of pain. I don't believe remembering one takes away from the other. If anything, I think it helps us love our country more honestly. As I finish my coffee, I realize that if I really could go back to the summer of 1969, I wouldn't want to change a single thing. I wouldn't try to become rich by knowing the future. I wouldn't try to stop history from unfolding. I'd simply spend more time with the people I loved. Because today I know something that 11-year-old Carol Ann couldn't possibly have known. The days that feel ordinary while we're living them often became the memories we treasure the most. Tomorrow, while Canada celebrates another birthday, I'll probably find myself thinking about that little 11-year-old girl on a farm in northern Ontario. She had no idea where life would take her. She couldn't have imagined the joy, the heartache, the lessons, or the people she would meet along the way. She was simply living another summer, never realizing that one day she'd look back and realize it was one of the greatest gifts she was ever given. So let me leave you with this. If you woke up tomorrow morning and it was the summer of your childhood and you couldn't change a single thing about history, but you could spend one ordinary day there knowing everything you know today, where would you go? Who would you spend that day with? And what ordinary moment would you hold on to just a little longer? I'd love to hear your memories in the comments because I have a feeling they would be just as beautiful as mine. If you enjoy sharing this morning coffee with me, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who might enjoy taking a little trip back in time. Until next time, happy Canada Day, and may we never forget that the ordinary moments we're living today may become the memories we treasure tomorrow.